Hi everyone, welcome back to Dress Your Face Live. Here today we have my amazing model, Miss Sharina Gutierrez, who I have tagged in several of the posts leading up to today. The first time I posted her, you guys all went crazy when my hairstylist friend Adam and I did her complete transformation when we shot with Ryan. This was, how long ago was this? Maybe a month ago, 2 months ago, something like that. And the world shook because we got this amazing video from Live Rich Media and it showed the whole transformation from beginning to end, and all of you were like, oh my God, teach this in one of your classes. Please, let's see this. I want to see it live. So we've arranged for the same model. She actually flew in minutes ago from New York, landed. We quickly picked her up and brought her here and got her hair done. Adam is here right now too. He was so nice to come back in and do her hair. And I'm going to show you the makeup from beginning to end. Now, I'm really excited about this specific class because this is the first time that I have arranged enough time to steal you guys for a couple of hours instead of like the typical 1.5 hours. Actually, a couple of my classes have been about 2 hours, but I really wanted this class to be in depth. This is the first time that I'm doing everything from start to finish with no prepping of the skin or anything. So you guys are about to witness the complete transformation from the way beginning, which is the foundation stages, contouring stages, all the way up to the eyes, the cheeks, the lips, everything. So you're gonna see everything it took for us to all collaborate on this beautiful look and create that supermodel effect at the end. And I wanted to do this as a Valentine's Day special, which wasn't originally planned, but I really wanted to do this for you guys in case you wanted to know how to create a very nice, soft, kind of a smoky eye, a very sexy, sultry eye on yourselves for Valentine's Day, or maybe you're booked with clients because Valentine's Day is on a Saturday this year. So you might actually have weddings to do this year that can definitely incorporate this very romantic, soft, beautiful look. So I hope you guys enjoy. Real quick, the last episode I did about lips, that is still up on the website as well. And we are going to, and I did a special collaboration with Anastasia Beverly Hills to give us an amazing set of liquid lipsticks to give away for that. So that giveaway is still going on. Now in this episode, I am going to post the giveaway right after class sometime for the full lips. So this is something I talked about in the last episode where it's like a suction device, looks like this. And you put it on your lips and you just suck the air out of it and it makes your lips poofy. So we're gonna give away several packs of these. I know last time I said it's only gonna be one winner when actually I decided I want 5 winners. So we're gonna get 5 more winners from this episode to give away a whole pack of this awesome set of full lips. So I'm going to post the flyer of that later today so you guys know how to enter. In addition, I still have several other videos that are up on the members pages. So now that you guys are members, for those of you who are new, you guys will definitely have access to all of those other videos, plus every single class that we have up for the next 30 days. You can choose to keep your membership. You could always cancel if you want to skip out on some, but just note that every single class that I teach will have a lot of information. So stay tuned for all of those. Make sure you have your notebooks ready, your pens ready, your phones ready so you can take pictures and snapshots throughout this class. We are also going to be recording it like we always do. So I know a lot of you are at work, which is totally fine. We're going to have everything recorded so you guys can watch it later on your own time, as many times as you want until the day that this class expires. But we are going to make sure it's up for a long time because I need to make sure all of you understand every single step that I'm about to show you today. So I'm going to introduce my lovely model in just a minute. Her name again is Sharina Gutierrez. She is one of my absolute favorite models of Asian descent, right? Yeah. Where exactly are you from? Filipino. So you guys have seen her all over my page lately. You guys have seen her page, how beautiful She becomes and even is naturally, I mean, you guys are going to see every single step of this and it's going to blow your mind. I mean, naturally her skin is absolutely beautiful, so there's really nothing to correct. But I want you to see how we go from natural beauty to glam beauty in like, just like that, like magic in front of your eyes. So I'm going to introduce Miss Sharina. Come on up. We're going to switch seats. She's going to take a seat here and I'm going to talk a little bit about her hair. Adam, would you like to say hi to my group? I know I'm putting you on the spot.
Hi everyone.
This is Adam and this is Sharina. Adam is the hair god behind her beautiful, soft, sexy waves. And he was also the same one to do her waves when we shot together for that beautiful video that we've been showing you all week long. So thank you so much, Sharina, for coming. She took a very, very early morning flight all the way from the East Coast. You guys know the storms that have been happening on the East Coast. I'm sure a lot of you are watching from the East Coast now, wondering how the heck did she even fly in because the weather's so nasty.
It was a miracle.
It was, and we prayed all night that she would be here. I'm like, oh my God, no. Please, please, God, please, let her land safe and sound. My husband and I both prayed. I'm not even kidding you.
Because my flight was canceled yesterday.
Yeah.
So we made it happen today.
We did.
It was meant to be.
It was meant to be.
It was meant to be.
All right. So let's go ahead and zoom in. And we are going to lower you a little bit. Whoop. And we're going to get started. So have your pens and papers ready. Usually what I have my students do, in case you're new here, for this live version, I want you guys to write down all the notes you can possibly write down and write down your shopping list, whatever you want to get. I mean, to me, it's not just about the products, it's more about the application. So just know that if you don't have the exact products, it's totally okay. I'm going to be suggesting a lot of things, and you don't have to buy them all right away. It really doesn't matter. For me, again, it's about the application and the techniques. So go ahead and write everything down, and then when it replays, we're going to put it up later today. Hopefully, I know the file is really big, so sometimes it takes a long time for us to get the actual file up on your members page so you guys can see the reruns. But once it's up, it'll be up for a while, and then you can actually practice with it. So that's why I did it today instead of closer to Valentine's Day, because I wanted to make sure you guys have several days of actual practice time before you're actually working on your clients or on yourselves, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to zoom in as much as we can so we can get a nice clear view of this beautiful makeup look that we're about to do. And in the meantime, if you guys have any questions at all, I have made a post on my Instagram page, the latest post here. This lovely post here where it's the actual teaser video. This post is for you guys, this latest one that says just minutes away. This is for you guys to go ahead and comment below and ask me whatever questions you have for me so that later on I can go ahead and answer them once we're done with the makeover, because I don't want to forget anything or miss any of your questions. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So first things first, you want to make sure your hands are sanitized. So I always carry these lovely little hand sanitizers so we can get this going. Always do it in front of your client. Do not let them assume that it's dirty or clean. You just want to do it in front of your client, okay? So once this is done, we can go ahead and prime her beautiful skin. And I love to prime using my hands, and that's why I always want to make sure that my hands are clean right in front of her. In the meantime, I want you guys to let me know how you like the lighting. We can always fix it. Before we actually get started on the foundation, I'm going to wait for you guys to comment on my feed and let me know if you want us to brighten up the lighting or if you want us to change the undertone or whatever it is. Just let me know right now before we get started so I can make sure that everything is perfect, because you guys deserve nothing less than perfect. I'm seeing that it seems a little bit dark on people's phones. Is there any way we could just brighten up a little bit? Okay. I think we're good. Everyone else, I mean, Okay. Did we brighten a little bit already? Okay, perfect. All right, we're ready to go. So first things first, a little bit of primer. Sharina, now that you just got off a plane, how does your skin feel? Is it dry or is it combination?
Dry.
It's pretty dry?
Yeah.
Okay. So I just discovered this new, it's not new, it's been around, but I just discovered it from Hourglass. This is the number 28 primer serum. It is awesome for super dry skin. Like I personally have super dry skin all the time, whether I'm on a flight or not. I'm actually going to hop on a flight tonight.
Yeah.
Did my husband complain that he's going to have to go back to the airport again? Yep. So this lovely thing is my primer of the day, and I'm going to go ahead and apply it on you too, since you've been stuck with poor ventilation for the past 6-7 hours.
Yeah.
We're going to hydrate your skin using the number 28 priming serum from Hourglass. You can find it at Sephora. It's nice, yeah?
It smells good.
I noticed that too. It could also be my hand sanitizer, I mean.
But it smells like minty a little bit. It feels like it has a little bit of mint in it.
Oh yeah, it's invigorating.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if there's a little tea tree oil in it.
I like it.
It's nice. Ah, so hydrated, so nice. Okay, cool. So now we are going to go right into foundation. I'm going to be applying NC44 Studio Fix foundation. And I do kind of switch up my brushes once in a while. For those of you who have seen months and months ago when I first started teaching online, I taught a class on foundation and contouring. I'm just going to go ahead and clean this brush. This is the Cinema Secrets brush cleaner. I taught a class on contouring and foundations, and I do switch it up. I switch up foundations all the time. It just depends on, you know, the colors and the textures and how my client's skin is feeling that day. And I also switch up the brushes that I use. And lately, I have been absolutely in love with this brush right here from Morphe. It is M427. And this is what I've been using on my clients for foundation. Before that, I was using a brush similar to this, a duo fiber brush from MAC, but this particular one that I have as a backup is also the Morphe one, G22. It's from the Gunmetal collection. It works basically the same way, but I just love how this is a little bit more tapered, and then I can get like a stronger packing motion with this. So I'm going to go ahead and take out a little bit of this liquid here. I'm going to put some on the back of my hand. I am not a palette girl, meaning I don't like to use those metal palettes. I am very straightforward. I just like to deal with whatever is the most efficient and easiest for me to work with, especially because I'm always running from client to client on set or working back to back from my home studio. So I'm not about to like whip out a billion things just to put some foundation on a palette. So I'm just taking a very, very thin amount of product on my brush, enough where I can still see the bristles of the brush very clearly without globs of product. And I'm just going to go ahead and stamp it all over her skin. As you can see, she already has a very lovely skin tone. All this is doing is providing a base so that when we are ready to do all the contouring and the highlighting, that it's gliding very seamlessly over the foundation. That's kind of the only reason why I even use foundation. I don't use a lot of it. I know a lot of people do it differently. I'm not saying this is the only way to do it. I'm saying this is the way I do it that works for me and my clients. But I do know that there's a lot of artists that love to use a heavier amount of foundation and less powder, but I do the opposite. I do light foundation just by stamping and making it full coverage by stamping, and then I apply a lot of powder. So you guys are about to, for those of you who did not see my last foundation class, you may be a little shocked from why and how I'm doing all this. Okay, so we're just stamping away, making sure that everything is looking nice and even. And we are also going to be bringing down this color down her neck. On the neck, you don't have to stamp. You could just slide, because I'm sure stamping is going to feel really weird on her. So we're just going to slide it down. So now foundation is done, looking very even, nice, cool. We have a little something going on in time for our contouring steps. So the next thing that I do is concealer. Now, I have several brushes that you can use for concealer. However, I kind of always go back to my same MAC brush, which is number 287. This one here, 287. And I'm just going to apply a little bit of NC42 concealer of the Pro Longwear line from MAC. So we're just going to put a little bit of this baby on the back of your hand. Take a little bit and go ahead and look up. Stamp it on the same way. So I'm using the flat side of the brush to just softly stamp it around her eye area and right under her lash line. You continue stamping in a flat way. I'm using the whole flat side of the brush until you see that the product is drying and it's not too thick or cakey around the eyes, because then she's going to crease if it's still too thick and hasn't dried yet. So I just stamp until I feel like, okay, the shine is going away, it's starting to dry up, and I'm drying it in a flat way so it doesn't cake up too much. Now, it is going to crease if you don't set it with powder. So the next step, once all the cream products are on, is to make sure it's smooth again before we apply the powder. So right now we're just stamping, 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 and we're going to continue to stamp until the product looks like it's drying. And you can tell usually by the shine of the product. If it's very shiny, it's still wet. But as it dulls down, that means it's drying. And just flatten it up. Stamp, stamp, stamp. Just keep doing it until it starts to dull out. And then I'm also going to go in the inner C's of her eyes. C here, C here. And then whatever is left, I can use around the nostrils. I like to do a little reinforcement around the nose because this is an area that can get a little shiny during photo shoots. So I like to add a little bit more product in those areas, and you can totally use your fingers to stamp it more, just to make sure it doesn't get too shiny throughout the day. I'm just stamping it in, letting it fuse with the foundation. And then lastly, I like to go around the corners of the mouth. Now, if you're working with someone with like hyperpigmentation, dark areas of the face, really dark circles, anything like that, you want to stick with orange toned concealers. Now, this concealer has a little bit of orange in it, which is perfect because Sharina's skin tone is a bronzy tan, especially when I put that foundation on her, which is half a shade darker than her natural skin tone, just to give her that bronze glow. Now, if she had super, super dark circles, I would actually be using a more orange concealer. I know this is one of those questions that I get in every single Q&A, so I'm just going to show it right now. This is the MAC Conceal and Correct palette, and this is the one in medium deep, and I highly recommend it because it has all the colors that like my peoples use. I usually work with Indians and Middle Easterns and like Pacific Islanders and South Asians mainly, and also like I don't know, Hispanic, all that. So these kind of tones work well, but they also carry lighter tones and darker tones depending on who you work with more. And there's a yellow tone which I almost never use, and then there's that orange tone. So the orange color is called Burnt Coral from MAC, and that's the color that I usually use to brighten up dark circles and correct them. And then you could use whatever regular concealer color they are to go over that and bring it back to their natural skin color. But it's very important to correct first. If Sharina had super dark circles or a dark around her lips, I would be going in with the orange, correcting first, and then I would go in with whatever other color and then hiding the orange. So 2 steps instead of 1 step, but it's very much worth it. Okay, now moving on to contour and highlights. This is one of my favorite parts because this is, I know, right? I feel like it's everyone's favorite part. And it's cool because you could literally change people's face structures or you can enhance them. So what I did on Sharina is I enhanced her cheekbones last time, which I'll do again this time for you guys. I created a sharper bridge for the nose using a really shimmery highlight later, which we'll do afterward. And I contoured around the perimeter of the face. So I'm going to do that now. For those of you who have seen my contour class in the past, because the entire class, 1.5 hours, was just about contouring, I went into some major crazy detail and I did everything very clean and very perfect. In the real world, it's not gonna matter if it's that perfect and that artistic. As long as you have it in the right zone, you're fine. So you're about to see me kind of scribble it on her, where in the past I might have taken my time to draw the perfect Lion King lines. But now we're just gonna kind of go nuts, but it's gonna be in the same exact spots using the same exact products. So don't get confused if you've seen both. There are so many different ways to contour, and in the real world, we simply do not have an entire hour to contour someone's face. We have 10 minutes to do that because we need to use the rest of our time to do the setting and then to do the eyes and lips and cheeks and all that stuff. So you're about to see it in real time. But of course, I will be stopping to explain each step in detail so that you guys are totally familiar with why I'm doing it, what products I'm using, what its effect is for Sharina's face, and how you can change it. Basically, with her, I'm just going to be applying a dark in here and light in here. And then T-zone would be light and the perimeters would be dark. And basically what that does is it sharpens up the peaks of your bones while making the hollows of your bones recede so that everything just looks more shapely and more three-dimensional. I always contour no matter if it's a supermodel that I'm doing or a regular person that I'm doing, whether it's a bride or someone just going to a birthday, or even myself, I always contour. Now, you don't always have to contour using creams like we're about to do. You can definitely skip the creams and just contour with a bronzer as long as it's not shimmery. When you're going in here, you don't want to go too shimmery. So like day to day on myself, I don't use foundation or cream products much. I just use a lot of moisturizer because I'm really dry. And then I'll put Studio Fix powder all over. Of course, I use concealer for sure. Today I'm using the whole shebang. Like for you guys, I like to look very presentable. But day to day, when I'm teaching, I just kind of have concealer, powder, and then I contour myself with like a darker powder, like Anastasia's contour kit. I have one for myself personally, and I just kind of go nuts with it. So for Sharina, we're going to do everything. We're going to do cream, and then we're going to set it with powder. So here we go. Okay, so for the creams, we're going to be using the LA Girl Pro Conceal. We will use, let's see, there's going to be 2 colors that we're going to use. One is going to be, you're fine. You guys got kicked. One is going to be creamy beige. This is what we're going to use for her highlight zones. And then we're going to use beautiful bronze for her contour zones. These are like a couple bucks. You can find them on lagirlusa.com. I always tag them in my posts. You must have seen them tagged in a gazillion posts of mine. So that's kind of where you get it. Morphe brushes here in Burbank also carries this line, so you can find it there as well. So now they're kind of starting to pop up everywhere. So first things first, I'm going to highlight in certain areas. I squeeze a little bit of product onto the back of my hand so that I have full control over how much I'm using. And I'm just going to brighten up the areas under her eyes, kind of in a triangular form. So in my last contour class, we did like very straight lines and filled it in perfectly because that was like, I really wanted you guys to see like for real, like how it should be zoned. But now I have applied it kind of in a scribbly motion, and that's usually what I do in the real world because it's still in the same zone. And when you blend it, it's not going to matter how perfect it is as long as it's in the right place. So now we're going to go to the center of her face. I'm drawing a nice thin line down the center of her nose here. And we're going to fan it out a little bit. And what this is going to do is just sharpen up the T-zone. We're also going to highlight the Cupid's bow, which is going to make her lips look more pouty. And we're just going to very lightly highlight the chin. I don't like to do too much chin highlight, but just a little pop of light is nice. So then I go right into, yeah, it's already starting to look like Lion King. And we're going to go into the beautiful bronze. I'm going to take a little bit out on my hands, and we're going to go right in and draw her contour lines. So what I'm doing is I'm drawing the angle of the top of the ear going towards the corner of the mouth. Act as if there's a ruler there, and you're going to draw your line. It can be thicker and darker towards the top, but make sure you make the line disappear before it touches her mouth. We do not want any, alien-looking lines here. No avatar. So top of the ear towards the corner of the mouth, but you do not want it to touch the mouth all the way. We want it to look soft and natural. So we're going to make that line there. And we're going to go ahead and now contour the temples. This is going to create a very 3D effect on the forehead. So I do the temples. And we are also going to do the perimeter of the hairline here. And that also is only if someone does not have a super small forehead. So sometimes I get clients that have a very, very small forehead. I do not contour their hairline perimeters if they have a super small forehead, because then we're just going to minimize the size of the forehead, and the whole balance between the top hemisphere and the bottom hemisphere is going to be not balanced anymore. So you want to make sure that everything looks completely balanced. And for her case, it does, as long as we make sure everything looks three-dimensional. But again, if someone had like a super small forehead hairline starting from here, then you would not be contouring all of this. You would only be contouring the sides of the temples to get it to look three-dimensional. Okay, so now we get to do the jawline. And honestly, guys, it doesn't matter what you're starting off with as long as you're putting it on everywhere that you need to put it on. So I usually start with like the more obvious places, and then I end it with, the places that aren't as obvious. So now you see the jawline has been chiseled. And now we're ready for the T-zone. So I'm going to go in with the dark. I'm going to go right into the highlight line and go straight down the side of the nose. And I'm going to do the same starting with the eyebrow, hugging up against the highlight line and going straight down. So what that's doing is it's creating a much sharper bridge of the nose just to add a little bit more definition. Make sure you close the bottom, and you could also make a line across the top to prevent the nose from looking like it's going too long. So it's just a visual break. It also helps to refine the tip to make the tip look sharper, so you get this awesome type of overall look here. And lastly, I like to exaggerate the dip in her Cupid's bow. And I love to darken the center of the bottom lip. And what that does is makes the lips look even more pouty than it already did from the highlight. So now we have a fully contoured face. I'm going to have her kind of go side to side a little bit with this so you guys can see every angle. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to slap it on in the right areas because we are going to blend this in a minute. Make sure you guys get your screenshots of this look. So you have the step-by-steps available for you on your phone whenever you're wondering, oh my gosh, what am I forgetting? Look at your screenshots. So make sure you're screenshotting it right now. This is the perfect angle for you. And now we're going to go ahead and blend. Okay, so for the blending, we're going to use my Morphe brush number M436, which looks like this. I'm just going to give it a little spray first. I love cleaning my brushes right in front of my clients. Also, so they don't have to just assume that it's dirty or clean. It's being cleaned right there. And because I'm using the Cinnamon Secrets brush cleaner, I'm able to go right in as soon as I clean it. But with other brush cleaners out there, you have to wait for it to dry first. And that's just a waste of time. So that's how I do it. Now I'm going to just blend by pushing the product in. So first we're going to be focusing on the light zones, and I'm literally just pushing it in as if this is a beauty blender. Now I'm not against using a beauty blender, it's just remember how in the beginning of class I said I like to be very efficient with my time and not dally into random tools? I'm old school, I like brushes, and I also like fingers. It does the same exact thing that a beauty blender does, except it does not add the dewy effect, which is fine because I use a crap load of powders. Why would I want a dewy effect if I'm just going to let it go anyway? You guys will see what I mean towards the end of class not the end of class, but in the next section where we go over powders, why I don't really need to use a beauty blender. Also, the correct way of using a beauty blender is by dampening it and then bouncing it on the skin to create a little bit of that glowy foundation look. And I just don't have time to dampen products. What's the point? If I can get the same result looking amazing and photoshopped in real life, you guys are about to witness real life Photoshop right now. If I can get all this done with the tools that I have, why would I bother dealing with something else? So again, just stamp, stamp, stamp until you see that all the lines have disappeared. And what's happening right now is I'm pushing the product into the foundation zone, the foundation layer. So it becomes one. It's being literally pushed into one. Okay? So now for the smaller areas, I'm going to go back to my concealer brush because I don't want to mess up all this light. And I'm just going to push in the light zones with the concealer brush instead of the bigger brush there. Just stamping it in, okay? So now we have all the highlight areas completely blended in, but without wiping it off. So I never, ever, ever, unless I'm using for the darker areas, that's the only time that I'm like wiping product. But for lighter products, I never wipe it off because I do not want to ruin the consistency of the coverage. I want it to be full coverage, very clean looking, and the only way to guarantee that is by pushing it into the skin, not by wiping it off. So now that all those parts are done, I can just lightly wipe off my brush and go into the contour zones. So now I'm just going to be doing the same thing, pushing in all the contour zones so that it can fuse in together with the foundation zone. Make sure that there's no gunk in the hairline. You want to rub that if it is. And we're just smoothing everything out. Now, I don't want this part to get all fat and crazy. So I am going to use my fingers to softly blend that bottom edge. And then I can go in with the brush to shear it out if I need to. But again, I only did that because I did not want a fatty, 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 crazy line. I just want it to look very clean. And same with the temples. We're just gonna push this product in all along the hairline. If it's already drying, then use your fingers to rub very softly. And then go back in with the brush to smooth it and blend it into the foundation. So now that's all nicely bronzed. And for the jawline, this is where I'm really wiping. This is the only time that you're going to see me wiping like crazy because I do not like a very dark line on the jaw, especially for my models who are going to be taking pictures on every angle. The last thing I need is a brown line separating her face from her neck. I just want it to look like a very natural shadow, and that's why I'm buffing it the way I'm buffing it right now. That's the only time I buff. Okay? So now I'm going to have her turn this way a little bit so you guys can see me do the same thing on the other side. So pushing, pushing, pushing. If anything dries too fast, use your fingers. The warmth of your finger is going to melt it a little bit better into the foundation. And then you could further buff and blend using your brush. See how quick that was? It doesn't take long at all. We're going to do the same with her temple zones. Use your fingers if you need to. Do not be afraid to use your fingers. It is okay. And we're going to go crazy buffing the jawline. Wipe if you need to. Okay. Now switching back to the smaller brush for her T-zone, for the nose. So I'm going to scoop this brush and scoop it all the way down to lighten up the dark color. Again, we used Beautiful Bronze for her contour, which I actually use on everyone regardless of their skin tone. I always use Beautiful Bronze. But for her highlight, I used Creamy Beige, which I normally use if I want a nice bright highlight on someone. I'm using my fingers to further lighten if I need to. Okay. And blending down the nose. Now we got the middle of the Cupid's bow, and do not forget that area under the bottom lip. I know it's hard to see sometimes, but do not forget it. It needs to be blended. Okay, so now all of her contour has been blended in to her foundation zones. And now comes the real life Photoshop step, which is setting it with powders. The powders that we're going to be using are all full coverage powders. That's all I like. So if you're looking to build your kit, make sure you get full coverage powders if you're trying to do the techniques that I'm doing. So I do not use translucent powders almost ever. Very, very rarely on the lips, if I need to make the lipstick last longer, will I use a translucent powder. And on my old lady clients, which I rarely have, then I'll use a translucent powder. But other than that, Studio Fix is the way to go. So I'm going to go in with MAC 227. And we're going to use NC 25 powder to give her a really strong highlight setting on only her highlight zones. Then we're going to use a couple other colors of the MAC Studio Fix powder to finish the rest of her zoning. So always remember, you cannot, if you're going to use full coverage powder, you cannot just choose one color for the whole face, because there goes all your hard work with the contouring. So you've got to choose colors that are going to match the different zones of her face. So we're going to go in to the NC 25. Go ahead and look up to the ceiling. First, I'm going to make sure that her concealer has not broken apart there, and it hasn't. It looks pretty good. So now I'm going to go right in, take a lot of product, and I'm just going to stamp it all over her highlight zone. So now I'm going to complete the triangle so that I can get all that set. So now it starts to look like an airbrush. It's kind of crazy. Again, this is the real life Photoshop step. It's so fun.
She's really that amazing.
Fun stuff. Fun stuff. Okay.
There's no need for Facetune.
There isn't. There really isn't. You know what's so funny? Like, so many of my clients, they're like, I don't even need to Facetune. Like, when you do these kind of layers, Adam's cracking up. When you do this many layers, but it's not like, you don't feel heavy, right? Like, no. You can still breathe through everything, because it's not like I put layers of like thick paste. It's regular foundation that you can find at any mall. It's a good amount of powder that we're now using, which is thicker, but again, it's powder. You can breathe right through it. It's not a cream. So your clients are not going to feel uncomfortable. They're going to look like they have been animated, completely computer generated. I mean, they're going to be like walking dolls, basically. And that's what I want. I love the fake look. You don't have to go this crazy if you don't like the fake look. That's kind of what I'm known for. So I deliver this. And now the center T-zone, just going to do a little bit of that highlight right there and bring it down very carefully on the bridge of the nose by using the same brush just sideways so that it's not like blasting everywhere. Gonna get the side of the Cupid's bow on both sides here. And a very small amount on the chin, not a whole lot. Again, I'm not a fan of making the chin too white because it's going to turn gray. So that's all I'm doing for the highlight portions, is I just added powder NC25 to our highlight. Now we're going to go in with NC43 or 44. Let me check. Let me check what I want to use. I guess NW43. Okay, we're going to use NW43 powder. I only have this one NW because I just liked the color of it. It's kind of cool. And I'm going to use it on her contour zones. So I know you guys are going to ask, okay, so why did you choose a random NW when most of your stuff is NC? I mean, when it comes to MAC, their colors are so off. Their NCs are warm and their NWs are pink. So it's like, don't think about the warms and the cools with them. They have done it a completely different way, which I will never understand. So I've decided to call it the NWs not warm and the NCs not cool. But again, don't get caught up with the cools and warms. If you see a color and if it matches, okay, great. Like, don't psych yourself out about colors. You could be visual like me and just kind of see, okay, well, this is a nice color. I'm sure it'll look really pretty as a contour shade. So great. I added it to my kit and I absolutely love it. Perfect for Sharina. Yay. So I'm just applying this color on the areas that we've done the contouring. So around the edges and a little small amount on the jawline. But again, I don't like to go too crazy with that. And I'm going to pinch the brush flatly and apply it really thin on the sides of her nose and under here and in here. This brush, I have several brushes like this. I'm going to whip them all out. I love this shape of brushes. I think it's awesome for contouring and even for setting. They all have a little bit of this tapered look. You can find tapered brushes at the Morphe store. I'm not sure if it's still sold out online, but I can tell you right now, Morphe M438 is one of my favorite tapered brushes. These are kind of new. They've not had these for too long. So before these, I was using like these ones right here from Hakuhodo. And these are very, very pricey, very expensive brushes. They're awesome. I love them. They're still in my kit, but they're pricey. So if you're looking for something similar, but a lower, more affordable price, Morphe brushes has the exact same shape, but for a fraction of the cost. So, I mean, it's a win-win right there. Win-win. So we've now finished the NW43. Now what we need to do is find a middle color to use in between the darks and lights so that it blends the whole face together and now looks a little bit more natural. So I'm going to use NC42, which is her normal tone. And I'm going to use that as her middle tone because it's right in between this color and this light color. And it's going to basically erase all the harsh edges. So the brush that I'm going to use for this, let me just give it a little spray here, is the MAC 109 brush. It's a round, fluffy brush, but it's small, so it's going to actually give the perfect amount of zoning. This lovely ball brush, I love it. I've used the crap out of it, so it's like really a ball, but when you're going to get it new, it's going to look a little bit tighter. A little bit more like that. And I'm going to whip out NC42 Studio Fix, get a good amount here. And now we're going to first apply it on all the areas that have not been set yet. So this whole area between the cheekbone and the jawline has not been set. So we're going to apply it there first, just so we know that we're not going to forget it later. I like to get those zones over with. It's very easy to forget when you're just on a roll. Okay, so that has now been set. Now I'm going to start applying it in between the zones. So in between this dark and light, I'm going to apply a nice layer, a nice line of NC42. What that did just now is blend the gradient between the light and the dark, so it's less harsh. And it's still, because we're layering it and we're not removing color, we're not letting the definition go away. We still have the definition of the light and the dark, but now the line in between it has faded. And if you feel like you've lost too much of a certain color or whatever, then you can always go back with that dark and add a little bit more of the dark after, or you could add a little bit more of the light after and do this back and forth balancing, which I do all the time. I love to have multiple brushes in my hands at all times and I just go back and forth with it a lot. So again, this line right in between the dark and the light, we're adding the NC42, and if we need to redarken the base, we absolutely can. I'm hoping this all makes sense to you guys. It's all about, instead of blending colors by removing it, we're kind of adding colors to layer in and overlap with each other so that it looks like we spent all this time blending, but we're really just slapping on colors. Very, very time efficient. Now, in between this light and dark, we need to do the same thing. So we're going to add this NC42 to blend right in between the light and dark. Beautiful, beautiful. Everything looks faded. And now we're going to do the sides of the nose. Now I need to add more product to the sides of the nose because this area here has not been set at all. We've only set the light up until here and the dark just on the line. So now I'm going to fade that line and add more reinforcement of powder on the sides of her nose by dabbing on the NC42 throughout the sides of her nose. I am not covering the highlight area on the center of the bridge, but I am overlapping with the contour. And all that's doing right now is fading the contour lines so that it doesn't look all crazy brown. So now we still have a soft contour going on, but it's not looking insane. It's looking nice, very pretty. Okay, now lastly, with this lovely, I call this my eraser tool because we're using this to erase the harsh edges. We're going to use this to now balance any other areas that we feel are too light or too dark. So I'm still thinking like this area is a little too light. So I'm going to go ahead and add some 42 to it just to give it a little bit of warmth here. And the chin, I just don't want it to look gray in the picture, so I am going to add a little bit 42 on the chin. Everything else, I like it super bright, so I'm going to leave the rest alone. Okay. So that's it for the actual setting. Now we can go nuts with the Anastasia Contour Kit and really take this to the next level. So I'm going to go in with the Morphe tapered brush, and I'm going to go in with Havana. This color is called Havana. And what this is going to do is just chisel the cheekbones further. And the reason why we didn't go straight into this is because it's a dark color. I don't want it to turn like a dark brown. Now that we've set her skin with powders, it's going to glide a lot easier on the dry skin rather than on the wet skin. So now we have a little bit more definition on this side, and we're going to do the same for the other side. So just a little bit of Havana, and we're just using it on that bottom edge to chisel it and make it look a little bit more defined. And then we could kind of overlap it with the rest of the area so that it doesn't look like a crazy line. Stunning. And we're also going to add a little bit more of this bronze Havana on the sides of the forehead, just so it really has that major three-dimensional look to it. Okay? Now, if someone wants a very surgeried nose, if someone wants if someone wants us to go really crazy with our contouring on the nose, which I like to do, I don't know if you could tell, the light's kind of hitting me funny, but I contour my nose like, oh, there we go. I contour my nose like crazy, so you see a very, very skinny line. It's very dark on the side. So if you want that look, this is what I do. I use this little, I call it my toothbrush brush. It's actually oval number 3, I think, from MAC. What is it? Oval number 3 from MAC. And I dip right into Fawn, which is a lighter brown. Dab it on your hand first because you don't want too much color to come out of this. And then I just drag it up and down the line and fade it downward a little bit. And that just kind of chisels it a little bit more without having to add a really dark color or make it look like what is this dark brown line down your nose. This is just a softer brown. Okay, so now we have a much more chiseled look. So now we're ready to add shimmer. We're ready to add that glow, the JLo glow that everyone loves.
I love.
Okay, good. So we're going to add that next using Galactic Face Glow in bronze. It's one of my absolute favorites. I'm using it today as well. I'm going to put it on Sharina, and we're going to get that glow back on her face. Because right now, it's not flat because we have 3-dimension in it, but it is dull. So it does need blush. It does need, eyebrows, eyes, all that stuff is still yet to come, which is going to make the face look even better. But for now, we would like a little bit of glow. Again, it's optional. If your client wants that glow, this is what you're going to do. So I go in with, we could even use the same Morphe brush that we used earlier. Just make sure there's no other color in it. Just give it a little wipe down. And we're going to dip right in to Face Glow in Bronze from Galactic. Looks like this. Looks like this. And we are going to drag it on the peaks of her cheekbones. So already you can see a little bit of that bright glow there. We're going to add a little bit above the brows. And I use my fingers in this area to really smooth it into the rest of the forehead so it doesn't just look like a random area of brightness. And I'm going to use my fingers to now apply it to the bridge of the nose, just so I'm not dusting it all over the place. So, oh my God, looks great already. And then I like to use my fingers to apply some of it on the top lip, the Cupid's bow right here, and back to the brush to apply a little bit on the chin. And now we have covered all of the peak zones of the face. Go ahead and do a slight side-to-side movement so we can see this gorgeous glow all over the skin. It absolutely looks delicious, gives the skin a more dewy quality without having to add so much of that greasy cream. I'm just not a fan of creams. I love powders because it feels light and fluffy on the skin. She doesn't feel like she can just go like this and wipe everything off. This is going to stay all damn day and all night. If she shoots tonight, she will look just as good as she does right now.
I'm actually a witness to that. The last time she did my makeup, I went out. We had been shooting all day. I went out that night. And obviously when you go out, you come back in the morning. And it was still like nothing had
Like nothing
touched
happened?
it. Yeah, nothing happened. And she didn't use a setting spray.
Oh, I don't like setting sprays. Didn't you ask me or something? Yeah, you asked me.
I did.
I don't like setting sprays. Because why? Like, why are you going to get into those gimmicks if you don't need it? Like, I can understand if you, like, need it. Like, if you really feel like there's a big difference between your makeup without the setting spray and your makeup with the setting spray. But if you're going to do makeup exactly like this, exactly the way I'm doing it on my clients, and exactly the way I'm teaching you in all these online classes that I'm doing several times a month, you're going to get better and better, and you're going to eliminate the need for a lot of those gimmicky products. So you're not going to need the best of the best everything. You're just going to get so good at your craft and so good at layering and so good with colors and so good with blending and all that stuff that your makeup is going to last without having to use a setting spray. So that's kind of where I'm at right now with that whole setting spray thing. Okay, now we're ready for blush. We're just going to add a little bit of color to your cheeks. I don't want to go too crazy with the blush. I want to do the same thing that we did in the video, which is just a very, very nude blush. Something that is not so pinky because we are going to do a nude lip for you today. We're going to use a pinky nude or peachy nude blush instead of going too crazy. Let me see what we'll use. I know that last time I did my blush class, a lot of the blushes that I used are discontinued from MAC. This is my blush palette from MAC. I normally love to use Buff, which is this one. I'm not sure if MAC still has it. You guys are going to have to check and see. But honestly, I still buy discontinued items all the time because I love eBay and Amazon, and you could usually find it there. And then this is Copper Tone. So I think they still have Copper Tone. We'll use Copper Tone on you, just in case my viewers fall in love and don't want to wait to get it online. And I'm just going to stamp it right above her contour zone. So right in between her contour and that shimmer highlight that we did, we're just stamping a little bit of this Copper Tone. Gorgeous. So now we have a little bit of color, a little bit of that tan bronze look, and we are ready for eyes and eyebrows. So next thing, we're officially done with face, by the way. And another thing, I know you guys are going to ask again, So I'm going to answer again before I have to answer at the end of class so I can focus on other questions. The reason why I do face first before eyes is several reasons. One reason is I'm so visual. Like, I need a visual balance before I can go into the detail work because it's just going to throw me off. Like, I can do eyes first. Like, at this point, I've done so many faces. Like, I could do eyes first, not a problem. But I feel better and more comfortable when I do face first because then everything is so perfect that just watch. We're about to do like a very quick eye. It's going to take like 3 steps and all of a sudden she's going to look perfect, like a Barbie. And we don't even have to spend that much time with all of these eyeshadow colors and all this blending and all this XYZ. It's going to cut our eye time in half. So that's one reason. Another reason is because I don't experience fallout when I'm using eyeshadows. And if I am using a product that's very messy, like a very dusty black or something, black is hard. Especially my black from the Anastasia palette, which now she's selling by itself, called Noir. That black is so black that if it does land on your face, you're kind of screwed. So in that, when I'm using that black, sometimes I do put a tissue under the eyes or a shadow shield under the eyes just to give a little barrier protection there. It looks like this. You just put it under the eyes. You could hold it or stick it on, and it'll catch all of your fallout. So there are ways to protect yourself from getting messy if you want to try doing the face first. Lastly, the other reason why I like to do face first is because a lot of times when I'm on set, there's a videographer on set that is taking step-by-step videos of what we're doing. That same thing happened with me and Sharina when we were working last time. We had an amazing videographer there taking step-by-step and all this, production. It was a whole production. And even when you're doing a bride, the videographer is there, the photographer is there, they're taking pictures throughout. It's not going to look good in the video or the pictures if you do this beautiful eye and the face is raw. Even if the face is beautiful and even toned already and there's really nothing to cover, but on camera and on video, you want a very perfect finish. And you can't get that if you're going to do eyes first because they're going to want to tape that part. The eyes are the most funnest part to see. They're going to want to tape it. They're going to want to take pictures, but you can't even really use that in your portfolio if the face is looking very raw. So in that case, I was just like, screw it. I'm just going to do face first. I want to use these pictures for my website or whatever, Instagram, and I don't want it to look all crazy and unbalanced. So again, those are the reasons why I do face first before eyes. So now let's just get right to the eyes. First things first. We're going to go back to the same concealer brush we used earlier. And we're dipping into where am I? Here. We're dipping into Soft Ochre Paint Pot from MAC. This is what I use as an eyeshadow base. And I'm just going to apply it all over from the brow area all the way down to the lash line. And we're going to smooth it out. Just to make sure we're not skipping over any creases. Okay, looking nice and clean. We're going to do the same on the other side. Again, this is Soft Ochre Paint Pot from MAC. I do not use any other eyeshadow base with this. This is all I use. And no, it does not crease on me ever because I do pack on a bunch of eyeshadow over it and it sets it the same way that powder sets the foundation. Okay, eyeshadow base is on. Now the first thing I'm going to do right now is to finish her underbrow highlights. So I'm going to go in with this lovely pencil. This is the Anastasia Pro Pencil in base number 1. And I'm going to use it to really brighten up the underbrow zone. So I'm just going to draw it along the underbrow zone to heighten the brow, basically. We're using light right under the brow. It heightens the brow. And then I'm going to go back to my concealer brush and give it a little bit of a drag down to blend. I'm not blending the whole thing. I do want it to look strong. I just am dragging down on the edges of it so it is seamless with the eyeshadow base. You could actually even use that pencil as an all-over eyeshadow base if you just scribble it all over. But I do like to keep it on the brow area as my preference. So now that that's done, I can go in with the Tamana palette. And remember, although you guys know now that the Tamana palette is no longer available because it was limited edition just for the holidays. Please note that every single color I'm using is still being sold as singles on the AnastasiaBeverlyHills.com website, and you can actually make your own palette using their palettes or using your own Z palette. So just know that although the whole Tamana palette is gone, you can still get individual shades from AnastasiaBeverlyHills.com. So Fresh, that lightest color in the palette, is what I'm using to stamp right on the brow bone. And I'm just using a regular flat eyeshadow brush. This is the small shader brush from MAC. And I'm just using it to stamp color right under the brow. Now, immediately, now I'm going to go ahead and do her eyebrows. The reason why I did a little bit first is because it's going to clean up the shape without, like, if I were to do the eyebrows first and then put all the shadow on or whatever under the brows, it would have grabbed onto the eyebrow color, and I would have had to then fix the eyebrows again. So this is where I kind of stop, do their eyebrows, finish the whole eyebrows on, and then go back to the eyes. So now I'm going to go in with the Anastasia, let's see, I'm going to use Ebony Dip Brow on her. And I'm going to, this is what it is right here, Ebony Dip Brow from Anastasia Beverly Hills. I'm going to take out a little bit of product here, put it on the back of my hand, and use it to fill in her brows. We also had a brow class a few months ago explaining the different ways to use different brow products. So there is going to be a feature pretty soon on the website where you will be able to rent past videos from classes. So if you want to check that out, that should be available pretty soon. I'll let you guys know when it's ready. But I start at the arch and I finish the tail, and then I start building little sections. And now I slowly kind of go in towards the beginnings of the brow. I like to go a little heavier in here. And I'm going to go a little lighter and lighter as I go forward. And now I'm going to start building it up. Now that almost nothing is left on my brush, I can do that. So it has like a nice fade in it. You see the little bit of that fade. And if you want to square off the eyebrow, you absolutely can. And remember, there is a spoolie at the end of the brush. This is the Anastasia brow brush. It's a double-ended brow brush. And you can use a spoolie at the other end to smooth out the hair and to groom it. And that's pretty much it. Looking at the film, I'd probably darken this up a little bit. Usually I step back to see if the eyebrows are perfect, but I can't because the camera's right in front of us, so I'm going to rely on the computer screen to see how it looks. Okay, I think we're good there. So we're going to do the same on the other side. Our challenge is to make it match, although two eyebrows are never the same. My two eyebrows, for the life of me, will never match. But as long as they look balanced on your face, that is what matters the most. And again, we're starting with the arch and finishing up the tail. Filling in the body. Lightly approaching the beginnings, and now we can start filling in the rest of the body. Square off and spoolie. Brows take so much practice, guys. Don't be hard on yourself if you're still in the practice stages of your brow game. Do not be hard on yourself, because this is something that took me, like, oh my God, 17 years to perfect until now I could do a brow with my eyes closed. And I feel like the only reason why I really perfected the brow is because my brows were so horrible that I practiced on myself for so long that now I'm like, okay, if I could do my brows, I could literally do anyone's brows. So now I'm going back and doing the whole balancing act. Making sure they're both as balanced as possible. And lastly, if we need to clean up the top edge, go back with your pencil.
Yeah, my eyebrows are not that groomed right now.
Oh, you're fine. I've worked with many who have not even tweezed in months, and we just have to kind of like
improvise.
Yeah. I mean, I always carry tweezers with me, and I'll get rid of like the really, really bad ones, but there's no time for like a full-on brow haul.
Yeah.
So I usually do the concealer trick for that. So right now, I'm just using a flat brush to blend the pencil up here so we can get like a smoother brow look. Okay. Now that the brows are done, we're gonna go right into the eyeshadow again. So now it's time. We've already highlighted the underbrow, so that's out of the way. Now we're gonna start contouring the eyes. So the first thing that I do is I grab an eyeshadow brush. This is Haku Hodo BJ142. And I'm going to go in with a color called Bengal from my palette. It's a really nice caramel shade. And I'm going to use that to actually contour the shape of her eyes before we go into the smokiness of the rest of the eye look. So we're going to use Bengal first. Bengal, okay. So going into Bengal, which is like a nice, I'll just show you, it's a nice caramel shade here. And I'm going to start by fitting it right into her natural eye socket. So I'm just shoving it right into her socket. I could feel that it's in the socket area. That's when I know I'm in the right spot. And I'm actually going to go ahead and connect it into the bridge of her nose. So that's going to add to that contour, give her a very deep set eye. And it's very visually appealing because we've really mastered her face contour. So now her eyes can do it justice. So we're kind of just contouring the entire eye crease right now. Over here you can see, because it's all one color, it looks very flat. But as soon as you kind of feel, like if you're confused where to put it, feel where that brow bone ends. That's the socket. So that's where you want to put it. Turn a little bit this way. So again, I'm feeling right in the socket, and I'm shoving this color right in. And I am connecting it all the way into the nose contour so that it has a flow to it. So from the nose, we have this nice dip, and it's going all the way out into the temple. So now we have established our contour zones and our highlight zones. Now we're ready to blast her eye with some amazing smoke. So first thing I do for a smoky eye is I go in with a MAC 217 brush. Looks like this. I'm just going to give it a little clean. And we're going to dip into a really dark brown gel liner. Now the gel liner is a trick that I used in my last smoky eye class. It was a different smoky eye though. That was like a 3D glitter smoky eye. We are not going to be using glitter in this smoky eye. It's just going to be a soft smoky eye. But it's going to be kind of similar in the fact that I use the same products, but the placement's going to be different. So this is where I want you guys to pay attention. If you've seen that last smoky eye video, you will definitely have an advantage to this because now you're going to understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. And for those of you who are new on my lovely show, you will understand now why I'm doing this. So I'm going to go right into Dip Down from MAC. It is the dark brown gel liner. Looks like this. I'm going to dip right into it. Use my hand as a palette. And I'm going to go ahead and lift her eye so I can get really deep into her lash line. And I'm going to start shading this color on the outer half of her eye, and I'm going to drag it towards the center, the lash line basically. So the heaviest amount of color is going to remain on that outer half, and then whatever's left on the brush, I can just fade it into the inner half. So it's darker on the outside, a little bit lighter on the inside. So this is our base. This is just simply our base. Again, going a little bit darker out here, filling in that whole lid space, giving it a little point out here, dragging the dark into the lash line, and then whatever's left on the brush, just lightly fluff it on the rest of her eyelid. Okay, so there you have it. Really, really dark on the outside, a little bit more faded on the inside. We're gonna do the same with her bottom lid. So her bottom lid is on her lower lash line. Go ahead and look up all the way. I am going to fluff a bunch of this dark brown product using the tip of the brush all around that bottom, right in there. So that starts that sultry effect. And you can go pretty, I love going thick. Like I went super thick on Sharina last time. I'm gonna do the same thing this time. I love going thick on the lower lash line. I like to go really low with it. That's something that you and your client need to discuss beforehand, how thick you're allowed to go, because I do have a lot of clients that are just not used to it and don't like it that thick. And it's easier to apply than it is to remove. So if you're not sure if your client's going to like it, you need to ask her and then move forward with it. But I'm a big fan of going really thick underneath. And now I'm just kind of fading below. Okay? So now that we have the base on, we can go nuts with the eyeshadow, and it sticks on so nicely. For those of you who've seen that last class, you know what I'm talking about. When you have a dark base and you put on a dark eyeshadow over it, no light can pass through it. So when you're taking a selfie with flash, it's not going to penetrate through the skin. You're going to get that dark eye look regardless of what camera you're using, what flash you're using. If you didn't put this dark base underneath it and it's just eyeshadow over a regular base, the flash is going to penetrate right through the eyeshadow, because remember, it's just powder. So it's going to penetrate right through it and you're going to lose your definition. So that's why I use a dark base. Everything's so technical. Mm-hmm. It is, but you know, it's a science, but it's still, I mean, you learn
this
it.
This is a class for me too, though.
Yeah? There you go. Now you know what to do when a makeup artist isn't available to do makeup.
Yeah, but these brows they're just really hard to do.
So now I'm going into chocolate. This is the dark brown eyeshadow from my palette here. Chocolate. And I'm going to apply it all over where I put the eyeshadow base. And I'm just kind of sweeping it on very softly to give it a nice kind of a dark sheen. Really dark on the outer portions, and then just fade it a little bit lighter as you go in, but it doesn't have to be too light, just enough where you can see a little bit of that shadowing going on. But I would like you guys to concentrate a little bit more on the outer half. So now we've kind of thrown on this dark brown eyeshadow all over. Now we can go in with a smaller brush, such as my Sigma pencil brush here. And same thing, go into chocolate, and now look up to the ceiling. I'm going to heavily stamp it along your bottom lid. Really get it to stick. Okay? If you guys see any little fallout, because we did so much powder, it is so easy to clean it off. It is not going to stick to her. So far, so good. Now, for the center of her eyes, the part that is right in here, I'm going to add Custom, which is one of my all-time favorite colors now. This is a beautiful dark brownish, grayish, kind of a taupey undertone, and it has a little bit of a shimmer in it. So we're going to use that with the 217 brush, and I'm just going to apply it right along the center eyeball area. So right where the iris of the eye would be, I'm kind of creating a ball right in the center, and that's going to kind of give the eye a little bit more of a glow. If you don't like silver, go with gold. I have another color right next to it called Gilded. It's a beautiful antique gold. That is your other option. So either stick with the cool tones, which is this one, or the warm tones, which is gold, and you now have this beautiful glow in your smoky eye without making the whole thing look light, because we have now colored the entire eyelid with the dark brown. So it's not going to look light, it's just going to have a glow over the dark. So it's still going to be deep and sultry. It's just, again, going to have a little bit of a glow. So it can attract a little bit of light and a little bit of beauty on that area. Now I'm going to go back with that blending brush that we used in her crease. If I can find it, that would be great. Where are you, my blending brush? Well, we could just use another one. I have so many. So back to Bengal. And now I'm just going to really smooth out the whole crease a little bit more, just to give it a little bit more of that blended look. You can even mix Bengal with chocolate to create a darker version of a caramel for a transition. So all that's doing is really just helping the transition. Okay. So now that that's done, we're ready for eyeliner. We're going to go in with the Inglot gel liner. You know what? Yeah, let me grab. Actually, it's okay. I have a new one, but I'm almost done with this. This is the Inglot gel liner. We'll just use it up. Let me clean my brush. I'm going to use the MAC 263 brush. And with the Inglot gel liner, I have a few tips. I know it's really hard to use. You know, it's a little annoying at times, but the color is so black that I don't even care how annoying it is to use it. I'm just going to keep using it because I have not found any other eyeliner that is this black. Like, I found other black eyeliners, but I kind of like the fact that it dries fast so that it just doesn't smudge. It stays put. It's really cool. So I'm going to go in and take a chunk of this black eyeliner, and I'm going to sharpen my brush. This is the MAC 263 angled eyeliner brush. Go ahead and look up to the ceiling. I'm going to now apply it very thick all the way from corner to corner of her waterline. I'm also going to let it bleed over the edge of her waterline so it can blend into the brown that we have underneath. Okay? I'm going to do the same on the other side. Right in the waterline and bleeding it over into the brown zone so that we can eventually get that whole thing to transition. And now we're going to fill up the whole top waterline. So go ahead and close your eyes. We're going to lift her skin so I can get right into the lash line with this. And I'm just going to draw in regular eyeliner. This is just the Inglot black gel. It doesn't have to be perfect because there's one more step after this, which is going to blend the lines. And I'm going to give her a little bit of a wing. Just a little bit. Something like a cute little flick. Open. There. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. Look how big the eyes look now. It's insane. Make sure you're lifting the skin when you're doing your eyeliner on your clients or on yourself so that you're not missing any of the gaps. I'm going to create my cute little wing here. Okay, open. Awesome. Eyeliner is done. Now we just have to add black eyeshadow to smoke out the eyeliner and make it really seamless with the brown. So I'm going to go in with my MAC 231 brush. It's a smudging kind of a liner brush. And I'm also going to be using a shadow shield to protect me from fallout. You know what? Actually, I want to show you another brush. This is one of my favorite Morphe brushes, M515. I used to use MAC 231, but lately I've been really into this one, the 515. It's like a tiny little smudger brush. And it's so awesome because it fits into those little areas really nicely. So we're going to try this. Hold up your shadow shields. Look up to the ceiling. First, I'm going to set inside her waterline. And now whatever's left on the brush, I'm setting on the edge of the black to fade into the brown. And now we have a very seamless effect from black to brown. Same thing on the other eye. Hold up your shadow shield. Do her waterline first. And then whatever's left on the brush, smudge it into the edge where it meets the dark brown from earlier. And now we have this beautiful, beautiful, seamless space of black to brown. I'm going to do the same thing on her top. Go ahead and close your eyes. I'm going to smudge her top liner and flick it upward so that it fades into her eyeshadow on the top lid. So again, I'm right here and I'm just smoothing it up. And that's why I told you guys, don't worry too hard about the eyeliner for this look, because we are going to be setting it with a black eyeshadow, and that's going to smudge the ends and the edges so it looks smoother. So if you didn't do a perfect job with the eyeliner, it's all good. And turn this way a little bit. So I'm just using this little baby brush to smudge and to flick the color up to overlap with the edge of her eyeshadow. Okay, open. I love it already. And see how little time it took to get all that done? Look up again, and you can always add a little bit more brown underneath to really make it crazy smoky. But it's awesome how fast an eye look can go when the face is already looking this perfect. I literally slapped on colors, did not care about how perfect the placement was. As long as it's right, it's in the right spot, that's all that matters. And it doesn't have to be so advanced and so crazy with the eyes. In real life, it just looks too harsh when you have like 3 colors coming together, whatever. Like, it's got to have this kind of smoky blend for it to look romantic. Having like a cut crease is not as romantic. A cut crease is much more edgy. But for Valentine's Day, I highly recommend you guys to just try a very soft, smoky look. It doesn't have to be black all over. Like on her, we only put black on her lash lines. Most of it is brown and grays and taupey shades and caramels, and it just looks so beautiful. So now we're ready to curl her lashes, add mascara and falsies and lips, and we're done. And that's it. Super easy. Super, super easy. Do not get overwhelmed with all the steps. I know that the face steps took a while, but look how fast the eyes went. Okay, we're going to curl now. Go ahead and look down to the floor. I'm going to lift up her lid, get right in here and curl. Is this okay right here? I always ask. What about this? Okay. Now to add mascara. You guys all know my favorite mascara is Hypnose Waterproof Drama. Go ahead and look up. We're going to fill the bottoms first. And now we're going to get the tops done. And look down to the floor, lift, and just go crazy with the tops. Lift up so you can get in.
What's this called?
Hypnose Drama Waterproof. It's like spider lashes. I love it.
Where can we get?
It's at me. It's a Lancome. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's a Lancome mascara. So you can find this at any Lancome counter or a Lancome boutique. Awesome stuff. I used to work for Lancome for a long time. And once I was exposed to the Lancome mascaras, I never went back to any other mascara. Like, I've tried them all. I have students that come in and bring their own kit for their private classes, and we've tried theirs, and it's fine. Like, nothing's like wrong with the Zorni mascara. It's just that it's not the best, and I just love the best. And I feel like the best for what I'm looking for when lashes are being done. I want fat lashes, long lashes. I want them to look like fake lashes already before I put on fake ones. Hypnose Drama Waterproof is my way to go. Now we're ready for lashes. So we're going to use just the basics, Ardell Glamour Wispies. I love Wispies. And we're going to go ahead and throw these on her with my favorite glue, which is a House of Lashes glue. Before I apply these, I'm going to make sure they fit her. So I'm going to remove them. I usually remove them with my tweezers. And I can just kind of fit them in and make sure they fit. And these are just a little bit long, so I'm going to remove a couple of knots from the end. So I'm going to take my safety scissors, my MAC safety scissors, and just cut off the last piece. Now we're ready to apply. These already look nicely curled, so I won't have to actually curl them in this case. And I'm just going to brush on a little bit of my favorite lash glue. Again, this lash glue is from houseoflashes.com. It is latex free, so those with crazy sensitive eyes like mine will not react to this glue at all. It's even safe for the skin, so if you ever want to put crystals on your eyes, you can use this glue for that. But please warn your clients that this glue is very hard to take off. So if it's resisting while they're trying to take it off, they need to use an oil-based eye makeup remover to try to eat through this. So we're going to let it get really sticky and apply it right on her lash base. Look down to the floor. Okay. Pretty, pretty, pretty. We're going to do the same on the other side. I'm going to cut the end of the other one off as well, so the same size. And now I'm going to put that glue right on the back of it. My favorite lash glue, so easy brush on. I like to be very generous with the amount of glue I'm using because the last thing I need is for my client to complain about the inner corner of their eyelash popping up, because that is common. So you want to make sure, well, this glue, it's not common. This glue sticks really good. But in general, you just want to be a little careful and apply a little extra on the ends. My eyelash class, yeah, that's already expired. But I went into major detail for an entire hour and something minutes about lashes and about how I customize them and how I go crazy with them, what I like to use, etc., etc. So once that rental feature is on, I encourage you guys to check out that class. Open and look down. And look up all the way to the ceiling. Okay. So while that dries, we're going to go ahead and do her lips. And again, I like to do, the lip class is still up. You can learn so much more about lips in that lip class. But I'm just going to do a nice basic nude lip for her. So I'm going to start off with Soar Lip Liner, which is my favorite, very romantic, soft lip color. And then we're going to use a nice nude lipstick, probably Creme de Nude or Myth, along with it.
I think when I closed it, I accidentally.
Oh, you're fine. Once it dries, I'll help you to open it if it feels stuck. I'm going to start right here on her Cupid's bow. And finish the shaping. Make sure you get it a little bit darker on the edges. So fill in that outer corner there, all these corners. And then you can go nuts with a light color lip. So here's my lip palette we're going to go a little crazy with. And I'm going to go right into Creme de Nude from MAC. Creme de Nude. And I start in the center and I fluff it out. I use generic lip brushes, but lately on accident I used this particular brush on myself and I was like, oh my god, I love how it works. This is from the art supply store. It's the Low Cornell brush in 270-1 1/4, and it's just it's a natural hair brush, but I love it for the lips. It's like the perfect size. I got it at Michael's Art Supply. Again, it's the Low Cornell brand in number 270-1/4. And we're going to go really light in the center. And you know what? I want to add a little bit of Mist. Mist from MAC to really lighten up the center pout. This is why when you guys ask me what's on the lips, I almost never remember, because on my clients, I'm so visual. I just keep adding and adding and adding, and then I'm like, okay, I'm done, and then I have no idea what the heck I just put on them. Just on my brides, I keep it simple because they have to buy that color later or have someone buy it so that they can touch up. So I keep it pretty simple for them. This is Oyster Girl Lip Gloss, and I'm just applying it towards the center of the lips. And then with the brush, I'm just dragging it to the ends. Ooh, gorgeous. So lastly, now that the lashes are dried, I'm going to go in with my liquid liner, LA Girl Fine Line. Close your eyes. And I'm just going to cover up any remaining glue. And fill up the areas between the knots so that you can't see any gaps. Wow, I love it. All right, guys, so she's going to do a side-to-side turn so that you can see that beautiful glow from side to side. Make sure you look kind of low, do different angles. This is where I want you to screenshot and remember the placement of every look, of every color that we did, all the steps that we've done. I mean, this is stunning, Sharina. You look bomb. And the hair all big and wavy. All right, guys. So we're going to go ahead and zoom out so you can get the full effect of how amazing this Valentine's Day look is with the hair and all. Oh, so gorgeous. Oh my gosh. I absolutely love it, guys. So see how simple it is? It's definitely something that you can try at home. It's definitely something you can try on your clients. You guys have several days until this weekend starts. So I encourage you guys to replay this video over and over. Once we do have it up on the website, it may take some time because it's a big file. But once we have it up on the website, you will be able to replay it as many times as you want and make all your notes and make sure you have everything together so you can actually recreate this on yourselves and on your clients, and tag me in those recreations. I want to see that you're learning from my classes. I've already been seeing all of your posts from all the other episodes. I've been seeing your work, how you've grown in your careers and on your own personal looks, and I'm so proud of you guys. I'm just like honored that you are learning on my channel through my videos, and it's actually helping you guys. So keep it up. Again, thank you, Sharina, for being my model. You were amazing, and I can't believe your flight landed just on time. Yeah, you're ready to go. You're ready to go shoot. You're ready to go out afterwards and all that lovely stuff. And so she's going to hang around for a little bit. I'm going to come sit in her chair and answer some Q&A questions for you guys. And I'm going to talk a little bit about some changes that we're about to make for your membership, some awesome additions we're going to give you for your memberships and everything. And then afterward, we're going to take some pictures before you leave. And I'm going to post them so you can see how amazing it looks on a photo camera. I mean, it already looks amazing on video.
Photoshop free.
It's a Photoshop face. So now you guys can like totally defend me when those people tell me that I'm photoshopping my pictures. Now you guys can defend me and say, no, we saw it in real life.
She's amazing.
Thank you, Sharina. All right, I'm going to sit down now. Okay. Am I high enough? No, I'm not sure. Okay. So much better. Woo! Okay. So I'm going to get my phone. I want you guys to go ahead and ask your last minute questions right now. We have a few minutes to go ahead and answer these. I have about 15 minutes or so until we can get this going. So let's see here. Aw, you guys are so nice. I'm so glad you guys had a great time in class today. Oh, yay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, do you use the same techniques on mature skin? No. If you're working with a client that has a lot of wrinkles and dryness around their face area, eye area, whatnot, you would not be using the exact same techniques. In that case, you would change the proportions. So I use a very small portion of cream to a very large portion of powders. As you saw, I layered a ton of powders on her. So instead, you would be using a little bit more foundation for that creamy feel and a little bit of less powder so that your client who has more mature skin can feel a little bit more comfortable with the actual wet feeling rather than a dry feeling. And so yeah, don't use as much powder, but just use a little bit more foundation instead. Which number of Ardell lashes have you used? They were the Glamour Wispies. So it just says Glamour Wispies on them. Let me see if it says anything else. No, it just says Glamour Wispies. They have Wispies in Glamour and Natural. I like the Glamour ones better. They're a little thicker. And like someone asked before, can you give tips on how to work efficiently on a client? Take a lot of time. Okay, well, someone asked if I could give tips on how to work efficiently on a client. Well, that was this whole class. This entire class was tips on how to work efficiently on a client. As far as time is concerned, if you do the face first, your eyes go like this. It's so fast. What cream contour colors do you suggest for fair skin? You could definitely use the same two colors I use on Sharina for fair skin as well. On Sharina, I had to use it very thin, the lighter color very thinly, and the darker color very thick, so that I have a better balance. But for a fair person, I would use that same darker color, the Beautiful Bronze LA Girl Cosmetics Concealer, very thin so that you could sheer it out more. And then the lighter color, you could use it much thicker so that it's a brighter tone. So the brighter color that I used on Sharina was creamy beige, but you could even use Classic Ivory from the LA Girl Cosmetics Concealers. That's a little bit more on the pinky side if you have more of a pinky fair skin rather than a yellowy fair skin. My skin is really dry. When I use foundation, my skin looks like it's peeling off. What foundation the foundation looks really rough on my skin. What do you prefer? So if the foundation is looking very rough on your skin, you need to make sure that your skin is exfoliated before application. So every single day, whether it's before you go to bed or whether it's the first thing in the morning, you need to exfoliate your skin. Meaning, get a daily face scrub and go nuts. Get rid of that dry, rough surface. It's basically over time going to resurface your skin so you have a smoother overall appearance and texture of your skin. I know there's a lot of facials out there that help that. I also have very dry skin, and as I got older, I felt a little bit of roughness on my nose. So I've been doing the Clear and Brilliant treatment at my laser spa called Laser Away. And it's been helping my skin stay very smooth so that when I put on foundation, it doesn't look rough and cakey. So try that. It's a longer term thing, so it's going to take a while to see a difference, but very first time I did it, I noticed smoother skin right away. And then in between sessions, I haven't done a session in a while actually, but in between sessions, I go ahead and buff my skin with the daily exfoliator. That's very, very important. Also, keep your skin very hydrated. You want to make sure you have a good day cream and a good night cream. The ones I use are from Lancome. Again, I kind of grew up on Lancome since I was 17, 18 when I started working there a long time ago. I'm 30 now. I've been using Lancome and it works on my skin. My skin's actually very sensitive, so I feel like because I'm used to that, it works pretty well for me. But I've tried other brands that didn't work well for me, but everyone's skin is different, so I'm not going to name names. You need to just go out and try it for yourself. But again, I totally recommend Lancome, but it does have fragrance in it. I'm not sensitive to fragrance, but I know some people are, so keep that in mind. But as far as that foundations, if you have dry skin, use a foundation that is meant for dry skin. So a foundation that is very creamy. If you're going to use MAC, I would use the Studio Sculpt foundation. It's in a tube. It's very creamy. Armani Luminous Silk foundation is amazing. It's so smooth. I love it. What else? Yeah, so anything thicker and creamier would be better for you, so it just doesn't look too rough on the skin. And how do we know which foundations to use on different skin types, dry, mature, acne, whatever? It will say on the bottle. And you can always go to the counter and ask them, okay, what foundations are meant for dry skin? Or what foundations are meant for oily skin? For oily skin clients that are acne prone, you have to make sure the foundation is oil free. Or at least long lasting, kind of a drier feel so it sticks to the skin a little bit better and has a fuller coverage. For drier skin, again, you want something creamier, something more emollient, something that is not oil-free so that you can have that oil nicely sitting on the skin and it feels really good. And make sure, for the dry skin client out there, the primer that I used on Sharina in the beginning of class, the number 28 serum from Hourglass at Sephora, that is amazing for dry skin. So with me and with anyone else who experiences their foundation to look rough, use that as your primer. It is so emollient and amazing. It's my new favorite. Do you recommend using brow gel on eyebrows? You know what? It really depends. Sharina did not have very long brow hairs, so I didn't really need to use a brow gel. But if you need to color someone's brow hair to cover up darkness, if you want to brighten up their hair, maybe make it more caramel rather than brown, then you can use a brow gel to even out the color or brighten up the color. And you could also use brow gel to actually groom the brow hairs so that it's in place. Again, Sharina did not have a problem with brow grooming. I mean, she said they weren't groomed, but I think they were fine. So I didn't need a brow gel, but if someone's hair were long or spiky or something's going on, then you could definitely use brow gel for that. I noticed when using dip brows, sometimes they appear thin or with gaps in pictures. What do I do to fix this without making the brows too heavy? One thing that I do, what is that noise? One thing that I do for brows when they appear thin in pictures or if there's gaps in pictures, you want to use a little bit of a brow powder. So I have these this Brow Pro palette here, and if you don't want the brows to look too dark, you would use a lighter color, like something up here or in here, to use with a brow brush and just fill up the rest of your brow with that. I do it on myself so that I don't look like I have any gaps in my brows. I applied my brow product with using Dip Brow in dark brown all over, and then I applied caramel brow powder over it in the first half, and that covered up any gaps that I had. And it also does not make my brows look darker because I have caramel and blonde hair, so I don't want it to look super dark. So that's my tips on that. Can you please show us how to contour a round face, maybe on a round face model if you can? Absolutely. I will try my best to find different face shapes. I told you guys that I will be doing multiple contour classes throughout this ongoing course. Again, there's no beginning or end to this course that I'm teaching you guys online. It is an ongoing process. Tips are forever changing. Trends are forever changing. So you guys are here to evolve with me. As I am discovering new ways to do things, I will be showing you on different face shapes and different models, different skin tones, and we're going to have that in effect very soon with doing much more contour classes for you. But yeah, we are going to be working on different face shapes. Today's model definitely had a little bit of between a round and oval face shape. So the same way that I did her with the contouring right up in here with that angle for a rounded face shape, you want to create more angles to create more lines because everything is round, right? I also, if you can see my face, I also have more of a round face than any other shape. It is also kind of square here. If you can see my jawline, it's a little bit square. So my face is round and square. And so on myself, I make these lines here to make my face look like it's dipping thinner here. And I also contour the edges here to make it look more oval shaped rather than round shaped. So that's how I would do it on a round client. And Sharina and I both have kind of a similar like roundish shape here and a square jaw. So it's the same thing that I did on her, but I will try to find some more models out there so we can get you some more information on round face as well. So, how do I cover up dark circles and cream highlight without it looking cakey? So that's something I already explained while I was doing Sharina's under eye concealer. I was talking about how we could use an orange concealer to cover up darkness and then go into your regular color concealer to cover up the orange. So without it looking cakey, you have to really flatten it out and make sure that the coverage is nice and full, but it's drying on contact, which is what I did in this video. So if you missed that part, definitely wait till we have the reruns back up on the website so that you can watch that part again and you'll see it in front of your eyes how it won't look cakey. Okay, so someone's saying this is obviously a very in-depth look for a special occasion. Seems like you probably wouldn't do this for your own everyday look. What things would you change, if any, and how long should it take to complete an everyday look? Okay, perfect. So I do want to do a class soon of an everyday look. Maybe I'll try to do it on myself. I think that might be a challenge though, because there's no mirror in front of me. I have to have the camera in front of me, so it's going to be kind of hard for me to show you. So if I don't find a model for that, I will do it on myself, but I'll see. But anyway, just to answer your question right now, the things that I would change for every day is I would skip the cream contour and highlight. I would do the foundation and I would go right into concealing, and I would set the color, the one color powder all over the face, and then I would go in with the Anastasia contour kit to then chisel the cheekbones and create the bridge of the nose and then add a little bit of shimmer here and there. So instead of doing the whole shebang from the cream to the powders to everything, we're going to start off with the basics and then add contour afterward just with powder. So that's kind of what I do for every day rather than for like a special occasion. But again, like my clients come to me for special occasions or for photo shoots and things like that. So I always do cream. Whenever you're seeing a picture on my Instagram, it is with cream and powder. But again, every day for you going to work or just going on a date or something, don't want to look too done up, then skip the cream. As far as the eyes, I do smoky eyes all the time. But you can go a little lighter with it. You don't even have to do, like if you want a fresher look, instead of doing black in the waterline, you could go nude in the waterline, and that will look a lot softer than doing black all over. So those are the only things that I would probably change if you're looking for that. Okay, I moved to a state where I have no family or friends, and I want to practice makeup as much as possible as I'm barely starting as a makeup artist. Is there a face mannequin you recommend to help me practice or any other suggestions? You know what? Yes. Face Artist Pro on Instagram is my official dealer of face mannequins. I do recommend this for my students, and on tour, like in a couple of weeks, I'm going to Houston in a little less than 3 weeks. I'm going on tour in Houston, and because this is my final tour in a long time, a makeup masterclass tour where I have hundreds of students come in and learn from me while I'm on stage demonstrating on a live model, they could be practicing on themselves or on a face mannequin. Because of the strong demand of how many students want to come learn from me while I'm on tour, I've decided to not have models because they're taking up a lot of seats, and students really need that education more than a model needs to be there. So I decided, because this is my final tour in a long, long time, because we are planning on making some life changes after this year is over, as far as having babies and stuff. Because I won't be able to travel so much, I've decided it's just going to be students. And so instead, what I've done is I've made a partnership with Face Artist Pro, who sells really, really advanced face mannequins, and they've just actually improved even more than what they already did. The skin of their face mannequins are very realistic now more than ever. So you can get a very nice application out of your makeup practice on that mannequin. And they are the official sponsors of mannequins for this tour and offering it for a very major discount to those who attend the tour. So those of you who have bought my tour tickets, right now only Houston is on sale. After that, I'm going to put Seattle on sale in a few weeks. and then so on and so forth. If you're following me on Instagram, you'll know my tour stops and you'll know where I'm going. And then each ticket will be on sale as we get closer to that location. And then you'll be able to purchase the makeup mannequin at a discount if you're coming to the tour. So that's the way I do it. So Face Artist Pro is the name of their Instagram page. I'm going to refresh and answer maybe a few more questions. Do you also use contour sticks or only the concealers to highlight and contour? Right now, I'm using only the highlight and contour concealers from LA Girl Cosmetics. They're actually just regular concealers, but I use them for highlight and contour because they dry pretty quickly, and I like that. I like it to dry quickly, so I'm not wasting time with sliding color all over the face. I do not use makeup sticks, concealer sticks, only because I like to use a brush applicator, so I have a lot of control over the detail that I'm applying, and I think with a stick it's a little bit harder to control the thickness unless you use the edge of the stick or the front of the stick. I don't know. I like the concealers. I'm not against the stick. I'm just saying it works better for me. What's on your lips? Oh my god. Okay, so the last episode that I did, I completely forgot to talk about my makeup. I'm so sorry to whoever asked those questions about what are you wearing. I completely blanked out in the last episode and didn't even talk about what I was wearing. So if I can, I'll put up a picture in the next week or so and list down all those products from that episode. So from this episode, kind of every episode I wear the same thing. This is just kind of like my go-to look. I'm always in a hurry. I don't really have time to go crazy on myself. But I am wearing Kevyn Aucoin foundation all over my face. I believe the number is SX08. I think that's my color. And I have 3 different powders on. I have NC25 powder under my eyes. I have NC42 powder on my contour zones, and I have NC40 powder in my in-between zones. I'm also using Girlactic Face Glow in bronze on my peaks, and Buff Blush, which is probably discontinued by now from MAC. And on my lips, I have Myth and Bittersweet lip liner. So it's a dark brown lip liner. I applied it and then I blended it with my fingers, and then I applied Myth lipstick all over, and that's it. And then on my eyes, I have the Tamana palette, of course, as always, the Noir, Chocolate, and Custom, which are basically the same colors I use on my model. I did it on myself as well, so you can see how it looks on me. It kind of looks a little different on everyone. I have kind of deeper eyes. I have hooded eyes as well. So on me, it looks a little different. She had a little bit more of a flat